thank you for tuning in. Welcome back to the channel. This will be episode 2 in the Better project. So today we're actually going to be covering the topics of shoulders and triceps. But before we get started, I just want to give a massive thank you to everybody that watched the first video, which was released last weekend, and the comments, the feedback was just very positive, so I really appreciate that. Thank you for that. I had scheduled to shoot the content for the leg program. However, we came in yesterday, we suffered a little bit of technical issues, well, more just a little bit of rookie or beginner issues. So we shot the full content, done all the recordings. Unfortunately, my mic had died after exercise 1, so it was literally all picture, no sound. So rather than have to go back through the brutality of that workout and reshoot it this week, we'll push that back to next week, so that will now be episode 3. Episode 2, as I said, will just be shoulders and triceps. Okay, the old trusty broomstick. So for me, this is the best way to mobilize your shoulders, to get it ready for any kind of pressing movements. Just some broomstick shoulder dislocates. So starting off bilateral. After you do about 15 to 20 of these, you should start to feel the lactic acid build up a little bit in the shoulder. So it does help like with internal and external rotation, but it also helps decompartmentalize the likes of the chest and a lot of the muscles which are crossing that shoulder joint that can inhibit overall performance through your pressing. So start off with bilateral and then go into uni. So I'm trying to almost like brush the side of my head with my inner arm and reach behind. It's also a good assessment tool, running a little bit of a diagnostic to see how each side is moving independently. For optimal shoulder health, we want both sides to be working mechanically symmetrical. So I prefer this rather than the conventional dumbbell and even cable for internal external rotation or warming up your rotator cuff. Okay guys, so exercise 1 is going to be the plate loaded shoulder press. Ordinarily whenever I'm training shoulders, I would tend to lead with either like a posterior, like a rear fly, or like a medial sort of side lateral raise variation. I find that they don't really hinder my ability to press too much, but in this current mesocycle, I've got my plate loaded press as exercise number 1. So literally all I want to do is really try to load that eccentric phase. So on the way down, I'm trying to control as much as possible. I like that little pause at the bottom, just making sure that the shoulder is fixated and staying within a really nice, healthy, active range for the shoulder. Once I'm here, then I'm going to accelerate up through the top. Now, I'm not going to lock out the elbows because I want to maintain that mechanical tension in the shoulders. The main muscles that are going to be recruited is going to be anterior and medial delt. So for me, that's a good place to finish. You know, it's quite early on in the mesocycle, but I'll be looking to progress this the deeper that I go in towards sort of week 6. So set 2. So this is my final set. There'll be no pause at the bottom of these. These are just a little bit more dynamic. I'm just going to encourage the blood to move a little bit. Maximum effort. Okay, so we're just going to break down the mechanics. First of all, the anatomy of the medial delt. So insertion here on the common tendon, just below the deltoid tuberosity, and originates on the acromion of the scapula. So the debate of where we should be moving in order to get as much out of the medial delt is ongoing. So if we start off where most people go, which is the frontal plane, let's go. And for me, I still feel you're still going to get quite a lot of activation into the medial delt, but then there's other people that will actually sort of preach that we should be working on the scapular plane. Now, before we get a movement, the shoulder plate at neutral, so just relax, neutral. The scapula will actually sit at around 30 to 40 degrees in front of that frontal plane, so the scapula is actually pointing that direction here. So we create what's called the scapular plane, which is around 30 to 40 degrees ahead. So that would actually be hitting the medial delt as well. So whereabouts should we be? Here in the scapular plane or closer into the frontal plane? I sort of think it's somewhere in between, in around sort of 20 degrees. So the humerus bone is just slightly coming forward from that frontal plane line, and we're going to move in through here. For me, the cue should also be away from the midline rather than up. And for me, I just feel that this minimises upper trap recruitment. Now, as the scapula upwardly rotates, the upper trap is trying to do that, so it will recruit. So we can't decrease or switch that off completely, but we can certainly try to prioritise how we activate into that medial delt. So just one more rep there into around 20 degrees in front of that frontal plane, and then controlling back down. Okay, so I'm going to just go into the machine. I'm just going to be slightly behind that, so to encourage that sort of movement pattern of the humerus bone. So again, I want to go force equals mass, and then from here making sure that I'm pushing away from that centre line and control. I find with the machine, just with the strength profile, I would tend to encourage a little bit more control through the eccentric, so on the way down. So I'm just going to do 3 sets each side. That's the end of the tutorial. Medial delt. After the first episode, I got asked what is RPE and what does it stand for. So it stands for rate of perceived exertion. Most of you will know this, so this is just to the people that don't. I think it's a valuable tool to use in order to assess just how much effort you had to apply in that last working set. So your recovery shouldn't just be sitting twiddling your thumbs waiting for the next set. It should also be for evaluating what you've just done in that last working set. So what I done in that set there was an RP10. I just felt like I could no longer get another full rep, and that's taken me to RP10 or failure. So if we scale back from that, I think I hit 11 reps. So if I wanted to scale back from that and go for an RPE 8, for example, I might end up just finishing the set in around 8 or 9 reps, something like that. So it would be something that I would utilise with quite a lot of my online clients, because it's an easy way to explain to the person the intensity that I'm looking them to apply on each of those working sets. It's going to hit posterior delt, so 2 main functions, as we know is here, like whenever you're doing like a rear fly, like a machine for example, perfect exercise to do, but it also helps encourage external rotation. So we're going to try to create both of those functions within this movement, so like extension and external rotation. We're also going to make sure that we don't allow the shoulder just to collapse inwards, so we're controlling that eccentric and then back and hold on that peak contraction. Okay. So drive away from that center line, and at the same time, simultaneously, I'm going to look for external rotation, and I'm just going to hold that position once I get in that short range. So we will get a little bit of medial delt, but I can feel the connection there once I spend time in here. Okay, working set. I like actually trying to keep the arms straight here. Just focus on pushing away. This is more dynamic. I don't want the shoulder blades to be retracting. That burns like a moth. So I'm not going to get too fancy, just machine dip. Rep range is still in this mesocycle, 5, back off 10, and then a lighter set of 15 to 20. So top set. Set 2, that's going to be 10 reps. So the only tip that I will give with any sort of tricep specific dip will be make sure that the elbows are pointing behind your rib cage. So quite often I see somebody and their elbows are going to be flared. So whenever the arm is out here in abduction, then it has to be adducted to come in, and this is where the chest is going to be more active. So we can't completely eliminate chest involvement as a synergistic muscle, but what we can do is place more emphasis on the tricep. So what I like to think about is my point of contact, which is obviously going to be the hand, but more specifically in line with the little finger is where I'm trying to push pressure into the handle. Sorry about the nipple flash. So once I'm there, I'm creating pressure here. The elbow is going to automatically tuck behind the rib cage. This is going to favor the tricep. It will minimize pec recruitment. It can't eliminate it, as I said. So we're going to set, rib cage up, force equals mass, drive. Okay, exercise 2 is going to be a cable V-bar overhead extension. So we're going to try and load this a little bit. We are going to try to favor the long head of the tricep. It originates actually on the scapula, so it crosses the shoulder joint, and it's the only tricep muscle which is biarticular. That means crossing both joints. Okay, there's probably a few more reps left in the tank, but we're going to be doing 3 sets, so I know as fatigue accumulates, it's going to get more and more difficult, taking me closer to that RP10 on the final set. The most simple cue at the bottom here is to try to get the elbow to move first. I want you to practice that, so once you're at the bottom, focus on the elbow moving first. That'll minimize synergy, force a little bit more isolation onto the tricep. Okay, final tricep exercise is just going to be decline barbell skull crusher. Alright my guys, so there you have it, the full sort of shoulders, triceps with calves through in as well, complete. I'll be running this for the next 3 to 4 weeks in this mesocycle and really enjoyed it today. The tension was very, very high. There was nothing impressive being lifted in terms of the amount of weight, but the feedback that I got was extremely high, so that's all I was searching for with today's shoulder session. Once again, I just want to thank you for tuning in, and all the comments and feedback after the first episode was extremely high, and as I said, very motivating. So I'm going to continue pushing these forward, at least for the next sort of 5-6 weeks, and just see how the channel actually grows. So if you haven't subscribed, please do, and make sure to like the content, comment. If you have any questions about the movements or anything like that, please feel free. And until the next time, have a great day, train hard, and I'll see you soon.